Alright, Surging Sparks is finally at 280, so finally the rise has come. I've been looking for this for like, it feels like a year now. I've been telling you guys like it feels like a whole year since this thing actually rose in price. This is the first real price rise we've seen in so long. Oh my god, like it got to like like I guess 265 very briefly. Otherwise it's been usually like 260 ever since like March, so it's been like a whole half year, and a half year in this market is like forever. This market's moving so fast that Surging Sparks, everything else has had to move up for Surging Sparks to go up. Finally at 279, not a glitch. I saw $279 the other day, I think, and finally it's actually accurate this time. And yeah, we're like, fortunately, I wasn't able to get any boxes. Um, Someone I saw someone with a case yesterday. They're like, I think I'm gonna keep it. I was like, okay, whatever. Um, well, honestly, that's kind of how it goes. Like sometimes you kind of miss out. Like it's still possible you could get it. Some people won't know the updated price or whatever. But there's definitely other plays. So it's okay missing out on certain things. So Surging Sparks is up about $19. Finally breaks a new high, and I really think it's gonna go 300 at this rate. Like now that's finally broken it. It probably means that a lot of the supply that was blocking is gone. Like it feels like there was that much resistance. I finally starting to see like it feels more like a normal boost box all of a sudden, where like it can have normal price rise. Otherwise, like Pokemon's target certain sets. Like Prismatic is still like Prismatic is so cheap right now because they tried to print so much of it. Surging Spark's so cheap right now because they try to print so much of it. Other things like even like Twilight is past this. Like why is Twilight Masquerade more expensive than Surging? It's because they put a concerted effort to do it, and the fact that I was able to break it shows that it just shows a sign of the shift. So um yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about Surging Sparks. If you go down here, like you already see like the 290 start to appear, and like there's not a ton of quantity. Who knows? There's always gonna be a seller who dumps a bunch, but right now it's finally broken it. um Twilight Masquerade hits 325, and um it's up $5. And yeah, I think there's also a new high for Twilights. And so yeah, Twilight demand has been going up lately. In some ways, like at least like compared to, let's see, at least it feels like it. I guess like it was really slow this period of late July or early August. I don't know. I could be imagining it. The bars don't seem that much higher. But you are seeing a little more consistency of selling like four a day, like every few days. And the thing about some of these booster boxes though, there's just some of them with a good amount of quantity, which kind of prevents them from rising. Like Twilight has these 10 over here at 325, then goes to 330, has another 13 here at about 330. So we'll see how that goes. If they weren't there, it would be rising a little more toward like 350. Stellar Crown reaches 255. I forget if that's technically a new high or not. It might not be. Just have to look through. I think I see 253 over there. So yeah, actually I think that might be a new high. And yeah, for Stellar Crown, suddenly we see a little more demand. The last couple of days have been, it's pretty much 4 days without any sales. 5 sold yesterday, 3 sold today, and yeah, we're seeing it go toward 260. Like Stellar Crown's kind of weird because it usually only goes up in like $5 increments more or less. But I see most of the sellers only have one, so it doesn't have a supply issue where there's like too much of it. So we might see this rise. I have a feeling people open this a lot during when Surging Sparks was really expensive because they had nothing else to open, and also they're trying to pull the score on Bulbasaur. And people probably think it's not gonna be like I don't really think it's gonna be reprinted as a booster box. If it does, it's gonna be like one wave. 5 Paradox yesterday, 2 sold today. So Paradox finally a new high 262. So you're seeing a lot of boxes moving. Just like that's 4 boxes with new highs. And yeah, Paradox also similar to Twilight. Not as bad, but there's Moby's Corner here. They have 13 boxes here. Otherwise, Paradox is free to rise to like 265, 280 down here. So I imagine like Paradox has a pretty good price ladder. Just like there's a little too much supply sometimes. For Scarlet base sold to yesterday, it's been selling about 1 or 2 per day, and this is heading toward 250. At this point, everything's just going up. At some point, people will value Scarlet base just because it's so old, and they'll be optimistic about it, like being so scarce or whatever. But it hasn't quite happened yet, so we'll see. But eventually, there will be a little bit of more craze toward the first 4 sets, which are going out of rotation. Paldea Evolved had 3 days of any sales, and then sold 2 today. So finally had some sales. We are getting closer to 500. I've seen Paldea have some slow periods. I wouldn't be surprised if this is still a slow period for Paldea Evolved. Kind of depends, but yeah, right now a lot of the people are bunching around the same price, and there hasn't been like that many sales. For Obsidian Flames, it's at 315. It sold 2 yesterday, 1 today, and it's just there's a couple of people selling cheaper boxes. Like there's these 3 sellers, and it goes back to 330. So that's kind of where Obsidian is right now. And then Temporal Forces, still at 255. I sold a bunch the other day, so I'm a little surprised the price hasn't risen. But 2 sold yesterday, 2 sold today. Yeah, should be at least at 262 soon. But it hasn't quite reached there. Twilight, I mean, Temporal doesn't have that many boxes now I look at it. I guess, actually, no, Windy City cards are 7 here. If that wasn't there, like, most of the sellers up until here only have, like, 1 box. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, for official price changes, Stellar Surging Sparks is up 20. Stellar Crown's up about 6, Twilight 5, and Paradox 2. Alright, so what's happening in Sword and Shield? So I still have a little hope for Sword and Shield. I do admit that it's in kind of a slow period right now, but definitely do see some activity of what people are doing in this time. You do see Evolving Skies sales concentrate a little bit. Like, first of all, it's been selling only one, like at most 1 box per day, ever since late August. And now we finally see 2 boxes sold, so that's the difference. And I'm just looking at the concentrate. Like if you start for September 12th, just a little more consistency in the sales. Otherwise, you saw like some bigger gaps in between. So nothing too crazy. Like it's a little too early to look at that. But yeah, I am seeing, at least it's not like worse. Like, Chilling Reign has like, I think like 1 box around early September and then no boxes. So it's not as bad as that or anything. And Evolving Skies, like you just can't really count it out in general. Like Evolving Skies is always going to be one of the boxes that rises whenever we have a sort of bull run or whatever. So, and in order to get cheaper boxes, if you're going to TCG Player, this is kind of your opportunity to just scout which sellers have cheaper boxes available, buy them up before the next rise. And Evolving Skies has so little supply that, like the price can change very easily. The more cycles we go through, the less Evolving Skies there will be, because there's literally less people who have it. A lot of people would have already gotten rid of it at certain price points. And like for example over here, it's dropped to 2640. But like if you just buy 2 of them, it goes back to like 2750. Could go to like 2800, 2900. So Evolving Skies, like you can't fully count it out like ever. Fusion Strike is something I'm a little optimistic about because it keeps selling. It was having a slow period in the middle of the last 30 days, but recently it's been selling pretty much almost every day. Sold 1 box yesterday. I'm keeping an eye out for the quantity, see if the quantity below 1100 sort of shifts, but right now there's 9, 11, there's about 9 that are about 1050, and then there's about 3 that are about 1065. So still it's always around like a little over 10 boxes. So if that kind of shifts, then I'm kind of eyeing that for like a price rise. Silver Tempest is a box that I'm very optimistic about, just because the demand has like pretty much never slowed down. Like it slowed down a little bit, but still sells like every day. You see demand kind of concentrate. 3 sold yesterday, 2 sold today. Right now, there's only 1 box left under 500, then it goes straight to 500. So this is 1 box that people are definitely buying up to some extent. Probably because of the price point, probably because of Lugia. But this is something people are still definitely buying. Brilliant Stars, like it's a little more sporadic. You see like the sales aren't nearly as good as Silver Tempest. A lot more white space in between the days. It does okay, but yeah, sometimes we get to, this is a little more optimistic than yesterday, where there's only a couple sellers trying to sell for around 550, then it goes back to about 600. When it's in this sort of state, it shows like some amount of like optimism in the market. And then Astral Radiance is back at about 435. So let me just look at the price changes. So yeah, Astral Radiance dropped because there's a cheaper box listed. Now it's back at 435, so up $32. Silver Tempest is up 5. Evolving Skies dropped $55, and then Darkness Ablaze says it dropped $10. But yeah, Astral Radiance is also something with a pretty decent price ladder. When I look at it, like it doesn't take much capital to just make it rise. So this is something that like at a minimum it could be manipulated pretty easily. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. For Lost Origin, you see 0 sold yesterday. And Lost Origin has been actually selling a little more consistently. You see a little more concentrated selling almost like every day. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. Otherwise, the supply of boxes always seems like a lot. There's like a lot of sellers selling. Like I can't even see the 900 on the page anymore. So if that shifts, then I'll let you know. But yeah, I am seeing some conflicting signs here. For Chilling Reign, yeah, Chilling Reign. Last sold was September 10th. Hasn't had a sale in like a week. So Chilling Reign is a little slower. It doesn't really drop that much, but yeah, definitely like if you want to pick up some cheap Chilling Reign, there's definitely could be some sales around like somewhere between like let's say 560 and 500. Battle Styles finally has some sales after that big rise to 300. Some people go after these just because they're so cheap. For Vivid Voltage, we see another sale yesterday. Also took a break. This one is a little harder to rise unless there's a buyouts, and then not as much activity I think in the first three. I guess Darkness Ablaze has been selling a little more last 2 days or last 3 days. And then Sword and Shield base finally had a sale actually. So first sale in a while. Price is still the same though, which is interesting. Someone bought it for 635. Rebel Clash also finally has sale. So we're seeing a bunch of like even these boxes are being targeted all of a sudden. Someone bought one for 500. Alright, so PCTBs, I'm still seeing the pattern where Obsidian Flames is still selling pretty well. I'm saying that relative to other PCTBs. So you're seeing it sell pretty much every day, maybe every other day. Price I think has dropped. I think before it was closer to 700. So there's a little more cheaper Obsidian Flames available. A lot of the people only have one PCTB, not too surprising because they're kind of rare. But yeah, I've been noticing this, so I wouldn't be surprised if this sword makes a comeback just because people are buying it out. And yeah, I compare that to the comparable PCTB for Paldea. So Paldea is over here. You see it has way more like days of value sales. Over here, there's a big buyout of 5, but then no sales. So compared to that, like Obsidian Flames is looking way better. But the price ladder for Paldea is a little better. It goes up to 770 over here. Scarlet base that went to 1,000. Like I guess it's been like 10 days now. Still no sales for this one. Still around $500. And then for this one, still around $400. We sold one today for $392. Price is still about the same. Twilight Masquerade, yeah, I've been saying sales for this has been pretty decent. A little less consistent than the first 30 days of the month, but still like this sells better than some other PCTBs. This has been around 250 before. Right now there's one cheaper one for about 218, and it goes back to close to 250. For Stellar Crown, has been having a couple more sales lately. You see a lot of white space and some more sales. I think it's still around $200, but it goes like to 220. Actually, let me look at the price history. The most it sold for was about 195, 200. So that might rise soon. Surging Sparks, sales are starting to slow down. You saw it was a little more consistent, but the last 5 days, just not that many, only one sale. This has been around 310 for a while. A lot of people are selling 310, so it's a little more stagnant right now. You do see demand kind of drop. For Strad Fable, more consistent demand. First half of the month sold every day. Now it's just a little less slower. Price is around the same, I think. And then not as much activity in these other ones. So Paradox, not like no sales the last probably week. For this Paradox one, very few sales ever since August 29th. Only 3 sales. For this Temporal one, no sales since September 11th. And then for this one, sporadic sales, but still not that many. Only 3 sales since like September 3rd. That wraps things up for this video. I hope you walked away with a better understanding of the market. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more deep dives in the Pokemon market. Tell me what's the next big investment you're considering in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you all later.